Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Through the Fire. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today we're joined by a very special guest. He is a confidence and relationship coach, Mr. Brayden Black. How you doing today, Brayden?
We're doing awesome, Ryan. Thanks for having me. Stoked
Hey,
for it.
it's my pleasure. Man, I'm kind of excited to get in here because this is one of my favorite subjects, to talk about confidence and how to build confidence in people.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I think it's going to be a great combo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip it.
So, number one question the audience is probably wondering, who is Brayden Black?
You know, that's a very important question. And I don't know what your audience demographic is, but for me, Brayden Black is the son of God. He is somebody who is a brother, a son, a friend, and somebody who just wants to go out and do good and bless and help inspire people however I can with the gifts and the talents that I feel like I've been given. Brayden is somebody who loves people a whole lot, and has been on his own personal journey, and through it wants to help other people in theirs as well. So that's a little Spark Notes version of who Brayden is.
Awesome. I love it, man. Shows you have found your purpose early on in life.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, I would say, well, it depends on what your definition of early was, but if you count early 20s, then yeah, we'll say that.
Well, I know a lot of people don't find it till later on. I'm one of the
Yeah.
people that didn't find it till I was about late 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. So I count myself blessed.
Yeah. What inspired you to start coaching?
So I had a friend who we worked together, and we were on a car ride one time, and I'm still in school, and so was he. And he was like, dude, Brayden, there's this coaching class that I've been taking. You should take it the next semester. You'd absolutely love it. And at the time, and still am, studying marriage and family, had prospects and ideas of going into marriage and family therapy and social work and working with people in that regard. And I was like, great, sure, like I'll try it out. So I took the class, absolutely loved it, and planned on actually being a teacher for a long time. That was my real dream job that I had, and was working as a teacher at the time. And through a lot of divine and guided opportunities and promptings and events, felt very inspired, like I needed to go and coach people. And I didn't know this at the time, but when I look back now and connect the dots, as they say, you can always connect the dots looking backwards, but never forwards. And looking back, I realized that when I was a teacher in the classroom, that the thing that I actually craved more than teaching the kids was having the one-on-one conversations with the kids after class about why they were struggling with the thing that we were talking about. And that's coaching, is we talk about the nitty-gritty, the deep and the nasty and the ugly and the beautiful and everything in between that goes into a person's experience and a person's life. And from then, absolutely loved it, because I get to have these kind of one-on-one conversations with people every day about the things that they're struggling with. And I've decided to make it my lifelong career and passion, and that's what we're going to do.
Nice. I mean, that's kind of what coaching it really is. It's teaching people and letting them kind of figure things out.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of I could say this because I've coached people that have been to therapy before, is that a lot of times when a therapist, and this is not wrong per se, but a therapist will take the approach that I am a trained licensed expert about this thing. We'll say marriage and family. They've done the training, they've had the clinical hours, and so they are the quote unquote expert about this problem. And if somebody comes in with this problem, it's, I'm the expert, I'm going to tell you what to do, and then we'll kind of figure ourselves out. For me as a coach, I have not gone through the clinical license training of a specific problem that somebody is coming in to me with. And so the model that I use is that Brayden is an expert at the model. Ryan is the expert about Ryan. And I just help Ryan to create exactly what it is that he wants to create. What's the outcome that you want? what is this reality that you're trying to create? And I help you get there. You are the expert about you. I'm just the expert about helping you to get there. And so it's very little about me, but it is guiding and working with, co-creating with an individual about what it is that they want to create.
Yeah. I like how you say that too, because I think a lot of therapy is you just, it's so cookie cutter. Just do this. And sometimes what works for one person isn't going to work for the other.
True. Totally.
What types of services do you provide them?
Yeah. So most of the time for most clients, it's either like a 6 to 8 week program where we go through specifically what it is that they're struggling with. And most of the time it's a variety of different things. And I've typically found that 6 to 8 weeks is usually good enough time to let a person kind of really get out all the things that they're struggling with in particular. Now, some may choose to go on past that, but in 6 to 8 times, we can kind of go through a lot of these models and a lot of these situations and problems and do a lot of reframing, especially, with our limiting beliefs and thought patterns, which I've noticed are a huge, huge part of what people struggle with. And so we go through this program 6 to 8 weeks of taking them through this model that helps them to reframe their situations. And I give them a third-party perspective. And then we co-create together a plan at the end of each session of what we're going to go out and do differently to achieve the outcome and the reality that it is that you're wanting to create.
Yeah. What would you say is probably the biggest challenge your clients face?
Well, for me, I guess I branded myself in a way that the people that come to me are all about relationships and confidence and faith. And so the biggest challenge that I see that most people face is being, one part is natural, and that it's in our own situations, we have our eyes just usually only see it one way, and that is through our eyes. And so it's helpful for me as a third party perspective to have different eyes to look on the outside to a certain situation. Because when I only see one option or my way, I'm limited to all the other options that are out there. And so a big challenge I see is a limited or narrowed perspective. But the second part, which often comes by cause of our own, but is sometimes not recognized, as limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs about what I can do or what I can't do, or what I have the capacity to do, or what I have the capacity to create. Those are some of the biggest struggles that I see a lot of the people that I work with.
Yeah. What mindsets do you think are the most limiting and common among people today?
For the teens and young adult demographic that I work with, the most common are, it's just happening to me. Again, playing along like a victim mentality that things are, I'm just a byproduct of circumstances. And it is true that a lot of circumstances happen that we have no control over. But the only thing that you have control over, if you don't have control over the circumstance, is what you think about the circumstance. So it's happening to me. This person made me feel this way. I can't do it. I'm not enough. I'm not sure I'll ever achieve what it is that I want to do. How? The question how can oftentimes be a limiting belief, in that there's something we want to do and we ask the question how, and we immediately see no way that we can get from A to B, and the trajectory in between is how. Is just like, how in the world am I going to make this happen? And if the brain sees no options, a lot of the time physiologically it goes into shutdown mode and we just cancel.
Yeah.
But asking, all right, and to go into this with another one is, what if? I see what ifs are a huge, huge limiting belief. But to simply change that, you say, if my limiting belief is, what if I don't get in? That limits me in my capacity and my ability to perform. But if I say, what if I do? So what ifs can be taken either way. That's the interesting thing about what ifs. but it depends totally about how, again, you reframe the situation.
Yeah. Like you talking about with working with a lot of youth and younger adults. I work with a lot of high school and college age athletes, and confidence is really, really low on a lot of them when you start working with them.
Absolutely.
And then I've seen that a lot of that victim mentality too. It's like, no, a lot of the problems you're having is because you have bad habits. Like it's not because everything's happening to you. It's because your habits are bad, and until you start changing some of them, you're going to keep getting the same results.
Totally.
What are some tips that could help someone upgrade their mindset and overcome their limiting beliefs?
I would challenge your limiting beliefs, every single one of them. If you have something that prevents you from, I would ask, a question that I a lot of times ask people is, what's your dream? If you could snap your fingers today, you could make it happen. What's your dream? Then they'll tell me something, but oftentimes they say, well, that's not really reality. It's like, how come we can't make that a reality? So tip number one would be identifying what those limiting beliefs are. Tip number two is challenging each one of them, saying, how come you believe that? How come that's valid? Or how come that's not? So I would really question and pick apart, is this actually a valid concern or belief that I should be having, or can I change it? Another tip that I have for people is you need to be able to see what you have inside of you, capacity, capability. So an activity that I like doing with a lot of clients is I will tell them to write down every positive gift, quality, talent, characteristic, and attribute that they have, that they know about themselves or that somebody else has told them, and have them write it down on a piece of paper. Because writing, we know scientifically, slows down the brain and it makes us think more, because our brain thinks faster than we can write or speak. So when you write something down, it allows it to be more of an ingrained belief inside of you. So writing down those positive gifts and qualities, and not just making it positive. I'm not just about positive affirmations. I want you to give it evidence as to why it's true. So for every one of those gifts, quality, talents, characteristics, or attributes that you write down, I want you to write down why that's true. So to give your brain reasons and evidence, as you will, to support why that belief is true.
Like it. And like I've always like found out too that like by writing that down and like maybe even looking over it continuously, that you like that shows like builds confidence right there. It's like, hey, I have a different set of skills that and qualities than other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Shows you're a little bit more unique too. What are mindsets that everyone needs to develop, and if adopted, would completely change how they lived?
The mindset that everybody, I believe, needs to develop is the same one that we had when we were 5 years old. And what I mean by that is every 5-year-old that I know of, that 3 to 6-ish range, where there ain't nothing stopping that kid from believing that he could achieve and do anything that he wanted to do. But somewhere along the way, that dream got absolutely smushed by somebody else's limiting belief, by some experience, and they told themselves, well, I just can't anymore. The mindset that I think everybody needs to have is the exact same one that you had when you were 3 years old, and that you could go out and do absolutely anything that you wanted to, because you are limitless. And the only people that believe that you can't do something don't believe that they can either. You have no limits. We put limits, and we let other people put limits on ourselves. So believe that you're limitless, and believe what you believed as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, great advice. How can we all improve our connections and relationships with others?
Be authentic, be genuine, be vulnerable. Ask people the questions that you actually want to know. We've all heard the 3 most popular small talk questions. How are you? How was your day? What did you do today? If you want to improve your connections with people, then ask questions that you don't usually ask. Ask questions that you genuinely want to know the answer to from somebody. It's crazy. It's wild. We would actually ask people what we genuinely want to know, but we've gotten to such like a robotic system of asking people. And I do this too. Don't by any means think that I am somehow perfect at this. This is something I'm still working on, but in this robotic system of how are you? How is your day? It's simple. It's easy. It takes a lot more effort to go outside of that and ask, Ryan, what was the best part of your day today? What's something that's been on your mind lately? What's something you're looking forward to in life right now? Simple, easy. But if you want to have more genuine connections with people, make it about them. Truly. Don't bring any of it to you. Make it solely about them and ask the questions that you really want to know the answers to. And also develop and pray for the gift of curiosity and genuineness and authenticity and vulnerability. If you want to expect, we'll say this, for example, with you, Ryan, we'll say that if I want Ryan to be vulnerable with me, how in the world could I expect him to be vulnerable with me if I'm not with him? If you want to connect with somebody, you have to be willing to be the first one to do it, because we often can't expect somebody else to. You be the first one to go out and do it.
Well, that's so deep and so true at all levels. How has your faith in God shaped your own mindset?
It's foundational for everything. I was just on a podcast talking about this with somebody else today, and that if my identity is rooted to the things of the world, or what the world says makes you high in status or this or that, you're always going to be chasing. As soon as my identity is rooted in God and that I am a son of God and that God looks at me no differently than anybody else, comparison leaves. It's gone. Jesus said that the greatest among you and the chiefest among you, let him be your servant, the least among you. Blessed are the peacemakers, they that mourn, that thirst and hunger after righteousness. Not blessed are they who drive Lamborghinis and have nice houses and have a lot of money. It's foundational, because I know that God looks at me not for what I have or don't have, but for who I am. Who I am is his son or his daughter.
What kind of darkness and stuff did you have to overcome to grow closer to God through your journey?
Eliminating a lot of barriers, things of the flesh. I struggled with pornography and so many other things like that a lot of young teenagers do, and that's just kind of the world that we live in. And to me, to grow close to God, it's getting rid of things that make me ungodly, the lusts of the flesh, the things of the world. The more that I attach myself to those things, the less attached I become to God. No man can serve 2 masters, Jesus said. So either he will hate the one or love the other. It's like the things that I choose to spend my time with show who I'm connected to. So I had to work through a lot of things and get rid of a lot of taking off the scales and things in my life that aren't godly. Simply, if you want to become more godly and grow closer to God, then do things that allow you to be more godlike. Do things that God would do. Listen to things that God would do. Watch, read, interact with how God would do it. And the other thing I'll say with this too is, how do you work through a lot of these dark habits and things that you struggle with? The people that are around you are vital to who helps you to overcome a lot of those barriers, challenges, and setbacks, because oftentimes we can't do it just me. It's through a combination of people around me that support me and motivate me and love me to do better and go places I never thought I could go.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in a bad environment, you're most likely going to run astray anyway. So, how has being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints shaped you in your calling?
Hmm. To me, it's helped me to recognize that I have a pivotal role to play in these last days, if you will. That as the clock kind of winds down and things take a wrap, that I have a pivotal role and a mission to help bless and inspire and bring people to Christ. And I think everybody, and we know this from research, even just scientifically, like, people need that belonging. So being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints allows me and helps me to get that feeling of belonging, and that I have so much more out there to go and give for God and his kingdom and his church. It's also given me a very cool understanding of who God is. I think everybody's different faith tradition allows them to see God in different ways. And that's why I love interacting with people of other faiths, because they always have new and added perspectives that, yes, I may or may not agree with doctrinally, but they have a way of seeing Jesus in a different way that I do. And sometimes that's really cool to see their perspective, because then it opens up my eyes. Like, truth is truth. And we take and receive truth wherever it is. And so that expansive view of saying, yes, wherever truth is found, like, we want it, we take it, we devour it. It's given me a huge understanding about who God is, his character and his nature, what he thinks about his kids, and the role that he's playing to go out and bring as many kids as possible back to him.
Yeah. What did you do for your missionary trips?
Yeah. So on my mission, I went to South Africa. That was where I got called as a missionary. And so for 2 years, I have a companion, and we would go out and we would share the message of the good news about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the restored gospel of Jesus Christ that we believe had been brought back to the earth. And so every day we would go out and we would teach people. We would do service. We would be with other missionaries. For 2 years, it's this going out and this proclaiming the good news, like Jesus gave, at the end of John 21, go make disciples of all men and be now fishers of men. That's exactly what it was like for 2 years to be in this foreign country. And, missionaries get called all over the world. That was just where my specific assignment was. But to go out and to preach the gospel and to baptize nations and to bring people to an understanding of their Savior, Jesus Christ, which was one of the greatest, coolest blessings and gifts that I ever got to have.
Nice. How hard was that to leave the country and go do that, and probably have a lot of people slam the door in your face a couple times?
Yeah. It's hard to leave a home that you're comfortable with and familiar with. You have your friends, but was super excited to be able to go out of the country and experience something new. But yeah, it was some of the best 2 years of my life. And it was also some of the hardest, where I grew the most, where people are like, nah, this is not for me. Now, they are a very receptive Christian and faith, God-fearing people, maybe not to the specific denomination or faith that I was in, that we were teaching people about, but they loved Jesus Christ. And that was cool, that even if they maybe didn't accept the message that we had to share for them, it was cool to be around a country and around so many people that worshiped Jesus Christ, because so many other areas in the world, you wouldn't be as fortunate to say the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, great blessing to have.
Yeah, I met some missionaries that were around here, and I think a couple of them came here from the Philippines because of COVID. They got shut down and had to come back to the country, come back to the States. So they were around here. And I used to talk to them quite a bit on the phone. And I was like, man, you're definitely doing the Lord's work, because I know a lot of people are not receptive to what you're trying to tell them,
Yeah, for sure.
What gifts do you feel like you have naturally been given or have worked on to become skilled and effective at what you do?
Love this question. The gift of compassion, the gift of creating safe places and spaces for people to feel comfortable, vulnerable, the gift of curiosity, the gift of authenticity, the gift of loyalty, the gift of passion, the gift of dedication and determination, the gift of love, the gift of being non-judgmental of people. I feel like those are some of the ones that come to my mind now, but that I feel really blessed to have. And a good mix of those are ones that I've had to work on, some that maybe came a little bit more naturally, but those are some of the ones that I feel like I've either been given or have had to work on.
What was probably the hardest one you'd say that you had to develop?
I would say I'm still developing this one, but the gift of humility. I don't know if at one point, I don't know what classifies as if I have this gift or not. It's one that I'm working on, but humility has always been one that it's like, man, pride is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when you don't feel secure in yourself, which is ultimately what it stems from, is insecurity. And so humility increases when self-acceptance and self-love increases, because it's not about me. It's just, how can I bless? I don't need to impress. And so that one will probably be an ongoing one that will take some time, but that's the one that I feel like for me it's hard when we're working on.
Yeah. The ego has a way of getting in the way a lot of times.
For sure.
What experiences changed how you began to see yourself and take control of your life?
So I was in South Africa for a humanitarian trip. It wasn't on my mission, but I was there doing a humanitarian trip, and I had a friend come to me one night. You remember that activity that I told people that I tell a lot of people to do, is go and write down these positive gifts, qualities, talents, and attributes. This is actually where I learned it from. The person who told me to do it was this girl on my trip. She said, Brayden, I want you to write down all the positive gifts, qualities, talents, and characteristics and attributes that you have about yourself. And I want you to write them down on a physical piece of paper. And I want you to have that with you. It's something that you can remember and always carry with you. And that was pivotal for me to be able to see the good things about Brayden, because it's so easy. We have such a hard time seeing the good things about ourselves. We can always pick them out in somebody else, but rarely in ourselves do we take the time to actually recognize what those are. And so that was huge for me in seeing, like, there's so much good that's here, and you just got to believe it.
Yeah. Why do you think people have so much of a problem recognizing the good in themselves?
Because they don't believe in themselves, because they're insecure, because they've never been one to look for it. We are so good at training ourselves to see what we need to improve and what we need to work on. That's what we're told. How can I improve? What can I work on? And so naturally, what does our brain naturally look for? that very same thing.
Yeah.
But if we had been told since we were kids to just as much as we should look for what to work on and improve as we were to say, what good do you have within you? I don't know if we'd have that problem. That thought coming to me right now totally changes like the way that I want to rear up my kids is, yes, let's talk about the things that you can work on and improve on, but just as equally, if not more, I need you to focus on what good you have within you. And that's something you can train your mind to be able to do.
Yeah. How important is it to make an identity shift when you want lasting change?
Huge. Absolutely. Because if my identity is tied to the fact that I can't change or I have limits, then how can I expect myself to do that? So my identity has to change to I can change, I am limitless, and I have the capacity and the potential to be able to do this. So I think it's massively, if not, it is the thing that has to happen for that to occur.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people always tell me too that you got to change your story before you can, the story your brain tells yourself before you can even make any of those changes.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any tips on how the audience can do that?
How to change the story you believe?
Or how to make that identity shift?
See the good that you have within you. Again, going back and creating that list and reframing. Again, this huge principle that I love doing with clients and people that I work with is reframing a circumstance or a situation. I want you to see something that you say is negative, and I want you to try and shift it to be positive. There is always more than one way to look at a scenario, I promise you. Because here's an example. People say, if I don't have a lot of money, I can't be happy. But yeah, I could tell you, Ryan, millions of people that I know on a continent that I've been to and that I love where a lot of people don't have money, yet they are extremely happy. So there's always more than one way to look at a circumstance because it's not the circumstance that dictates. We let circumstances dictate us, but it is not the circumstance. We let the circumstance like control us when instead we have complete control over the circumstance. Not that the circumstance happened, but we have control on how we look at it. And that's why gratitude is so powerful. I mean, science even backs this up. Just we'll leave out faith for an instant and just talk about the science of gratitude. When people choose to be grateful, they are in a state of seeing what they have. And when people see what they have, they're happier. When people see what they don't have and they're in lack, they're not happy. And so to make the shift about the story that you believe about yourself, you have to simply start seeing different stories. You have to start seeing other options and reframing these situations and the things that you're telling yourself. And that's what I help people do as a coach. It's like, let me help present to you a different story that you may not be seeing.
Yeah. What led you to become an inspirational speaker?
I guess just the want to get more of it out there. Like I'd always loved teaching, especially, from the mission for 2 years, you're teaching people every day. So the want to, just take it on a bigger scale and really just get these messages that you feel passionate about. It's like, this is what I want to do. So that's, in short, not really a crazy story or anything by any means, but it's just like, I just want to get this out there to more people. So that's what I did.
Nice. What's probably your biggest reward and the biggest challenge you face speaking?
I think the biggest reward is the impact and the amount of people's lives that can be changed in a positive way. The biggest challenge is simply getting more opportunities to do it.
Yeah. That's, I think, most people's challenges is finding more opportunities and being able to find more stages.
Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you?
The best way people can get a hold of me is just on Instagram. That's my most popular platform where I'm at. And so people can always feel free to send me a DM. And if people are reaching out for help or want coached or want to ask questions or chat, that's how people can get a hold of me.
Nice. And I'll put that all in the show notes and everything too.
Sweet. Thank you.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Just hope people know that they can do it. And the only person that says that they can't is either some other person who doesn't believe that they can, so they should be discarded. And the only other person is yourself. Henry Ford once said a quote, though, that I love. He said that the only difference between the person that thinks that he said this, sorry, let me not botch this. He said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So the only person stopping you is you. And wherever you're at, you are loved, you are valued, and there are reasons why. I'm not just saying it. There are actual valid reasons why. And man, start dreaming like a 3-year-old again, because bro, if everybody in this world dreamed like they were 3 years old again, dang, what a kind of world we'd be living in. It'd be insane. Yeah,
the world would definitely be a better place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that quote too. I mean, I say that quote all the time. I mean, that's a great quote. All right, final question. What is one piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with about overcoming adversity?
You can do it. If somebody thinks that they can't do it, if I thought that I can't, I would look to outside sources to show me as pieces of evidence that it's possible. Overcoming adversity, I think, and again, this is a reframe. And somebody once told me this, that the only difference between a circumstance or something being a trial or a blessing is if we turn to God because of it. So it depends on if you're calling it adversity or if you're calling it a blessing. Same circumstance, two ways of looking at the same thing. But through the fire, if I look at just metal that's just getting thrown in a fire, I might call that adversity. If I looked at a piece of metal being crafted and shaped and tweaked into something beautiful because of that fire, I call it a blessing. And so look at your circumstances and situations differently, through a different lens, a more positive one, because I guarantee you that there is one. And you may not know the reason yet why, but there is one. And it can, and it has the ability to turn you into something better. You can choose to make it bitter or better. That's up to you. And it's by what you think, but you can do it. And if you tell me you can't, then you have to go through a lot of other people who have made it through adversity and tell them that it's not true. It's possible. It is true. And you are not the exception. You can do it too.
Yeah. Man, and like I've noticed too, that God can't use you until he takes you through the fire.
Mm-hmm. Preach.
Well, Brayden, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your insight with all of us.
Thank you, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yep. Well, guys, that's going to be all the time we have here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is go through the fire.